You can get ahead of 99% of people at work by adopting 5 simple but powerful habits that will help you get promoted and stand out in a positive way. These habits are based on my own experience as an employee, as a startup founder, and on the decade I spent running my business and employing over 100 people, and observing what really made the most difference in someone's career. The first habit may seem really obvious and easy to implement, but it's actually the most difficult one for most people because it's so hard to put our egos aside and just listen. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. We all have room for improvement. The only way we can get better is to learn from those mistakes. But most of the time, we don't even know we've made a mistake unless we ask. Consistently asking for feedback is the #1 engine that's going to get you to get better at everything you do in the workplace. As Richard Branson said, feedback is the breakfast of champions. Unfortunately, most people aren't comfortable giving feedback spontaneously. So if you want to get ahead, it's on you to go and get it. Every time you do something for someone, whether that's joining a sales meeting, completing a report, or even finishing your day's work, take the time to go around the people you've been working with and ask them for feedback. This is simple on the surface, but it's so easy to get it wrong. Hey Bob, did you have any feedback about the report?
Oh no, not really. It's all good.
Okay, thanks. This is a missed opportunity. If you ask them wrong, people will think you're just fishing for a pat on the back, and they'll give you that. Instead, try this. Hey Bob, did you get a chance to look at the reports that I made for you?
Yeah, I did. Thanks for this. Great job.
Cheers, but I'm really looking for ways to get better at this. Can you think of anything I could have done better, maybe in the report, or maybe in how it was to work with me? Just one improvement point would be really good.
Well, let me think. I guess I would have liked to have updates about it more frequently. Yeah, the report is good, but I was worried about it yesterday because I didn't know if you'd started it, and I really needed it today. Also, now I think about it, the slide with the company summary wasn't really necessary. This is an internal report and people know where they work.
You get what you ask for, so long as you ask right. Make it clear that you're looking for improvement points, and most people will figure out something useful to say. But once they do say it, it's important to actually make use of the feedback and not react badly. Unfortunately, some people, when told their work isn't perfect, will react defensively. Oh, come on, you're only asking for updates because you don't trust me. If I say I'll do something, I'll do it. I hate being micromanaged like this. If you react like this, people will quickly learn not to give you useful feedback, even when you ask for it. Instead, try rephrasing their feedback back to them. Interesting, so what I'm hearing is that you'd like to get some kind of progress updates, like once a day, and I can skip the company summary slide. Do I have that right?
Yeah, actually, once a day might be a bit much. Just, send me an update when you reach a milestone, like collecting the data or finishing the first rough draft. That will set me at ease.
So that's the first habit. Seek feedback regularly from everyone you work with and apply it. Now, in most workplaces, getting ahead in your career means getting promoted. A lot of people think that they get promoted when they do their job well, but that's not really how it works. To maximize your chances of getting promoted to a new position, you want to already be doing the job associated with that position and doing it well. In most cases, people want to be promoted upwards to leadership positions like management. But how can you do the work of a manager if you're not officially a manager? After all, the boss has power and that's what makes them the boss, right? Wrong. You can lead from any position. In fact, leadership just because of your position in the hierarchy is the weakest kind of leadership.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
If you need the manager title to be able to lead, you're not ready to lead. Because that means you think you need to be able to threaten people with disciplinary action or even firing in order to get them to do stuff for you. But any decent workplace culture doesn't want that to happen because it saps morale and destroys safety. You need to do this because I'm your boss and I'm telling you to. The moment those words come out of someone's mouth, they failed as a leader. The good news is, real leaders don't have to wield a big stick to get people to do things. And that means you can lead from any position. Even if you're the most junior person on the team, you can still lead. As leadership expert Simon Sinek says, leadership is not a position or title. It is a willingness to step up and serve others. Hey Tom, I noticed that the monthly deadline for the report is approaching. I believe we need an extract from the database to start this?
Yeah, we sure do.
Great. When do you think we can have it? In this example, which actually happened to me in my very first job quite some time ago, you may well be the most junior team member who just joined a month ago. But you're still leading. You've taken ownership of a piece of work and you're coordinating the activities of other team members to get the job done. That's leadership and management. Do this consistently, do it well, and eventually that ends up being your job. When you do this, make sure you genuinely have the interests of the team, the project, and even the company at heart. If your workplace is very hierarchical, it may help to approach whoever is usually in charge of the piece of work and offer to help, rather than just going ahead without talking to them. Or else they might feel like you're stepping on their toes. Another simple tool here is to speak about we, not I. It's not about you, it's about the project, the team, or the company. Sometimes you might get a grumpy response from someone.
And who put you in charge of this, huh?
If so, don't get into a confrontation. Instead, go back to the first habit. As quickly as you can, turn the conversation into a request for feedback.
Oh, well, Jane said she could use my help. I'm sorry if I approached you wrong. How could I have done it better?
Genuine curiosity is a much better way to react than getting into a conflict. People like to be listened to, and it's hard to stay angry at someone who's genuinely listening to you. So that's the second habit. Learn to lead without having official power. This is guaranteed to get you promoted in charge of teams, since you'll have proven that you can lead even when you don't have a big stick to hit people with. The next habit mostly requires a perspective shift. A lot of people see the workplace as a competitive arena. They think that for them to win, someone else needs to lose. They divide their company or even their team into friends and enemies. I know that perspective well because I spent a good chunk of my own life doing that. I finally had to really stop this when I was the one running the company. Everyone was there because I hired them. So it really didn't make sense to see any of them as opponents or to fight them. You don't need to wait as long as I did to learn this lesson though. Even though some people don't see it like that, workplaces are cooperative arenas, not competitive. The reason is business is not a zero-sum game. A business that thrives will grow, and so there are more rewards to share. The only way a business becomes internally competitive is when it's growing too slowly or even shrinking, often because its employees are spending their time fighting against each other instead of helping the business grow. If you let go of this competitive mindset, you can start to look for win-win situations at all times. Whenever offered some kind of deal that would involve someone else losing out, figure out how to help them instead. This is especially true if it's someone you don't see as a friend yet. Keep doing this for a while and soon everyone will like you, which again is likely to lead to you doing much better in your career.
Helen has been way less good at doing the monthly report than you. I want you to take over that responsibility from her.
This sounds like a good deal, but it's a trap. It's likely to piss Helen off. You win, she loses. It's hard to come up with a better solution without understanding the context though. So ask.
Oh, thanks boss. What's the goal here? Well, mainly I want the report to continue to be produced at this higher standard. The management team really liked it.
Obviously, there's a million different ways this can play out. I think in general, it's good to address the problem directly.
I see. Well, thank you, and I appreciate that you want the reports to continue at the same quality. Thing is, I've just joined and I've only just done one of these. Helen has been doing them for years. She helped me a lot with this last one. If you take it from her, she won't be happy. She might become less helpful and then the reports will get worse. How about if I continue helping her instead, and I'll document what I'm doing so that later on Helen can do it just as well as I would have.
This little exchange also made use of the leading from anywhere habit we discussed before, and turns a situation where Helen would have lost to one where Helen retains her responsibilities and gets more support, and your boss gets what he wants, and you also get to do the work that managers normally do, which sets you up for promotion, as we discussed earlier. That's the third habit. Keep looking for win-wins. When you see a situation where someone on your team or in your company will lose, work hard to try and make it so everyone wins. That way you'll have great relationships with everyone as you progress, which will help you go further and faster. The fourth habit is very counterintuitive, and most people do the opposite. But if you do this consistently, it will set you up for management and even senior management once people notice it.
Hey, can you start working on that report?
Sure, you'll have it in a week.
Great, thanks for taking care of this. I don't know if anyone else knows how to do this report. It's gotten so complicated.
I'm your man. I know the report better than anyone. Most people think job security comes from being the only one who knows how to do your job. Now, there is some small level of job security from that. In companies where people get fired suddenly for no reason, you might evade some of those violent outbursts. But actually, people who hog knowledge and make themselves indispensable are very high risk to keep around. So smart managers get rid of them as soon as they can.
Hey, can you start working on that report?
Well, actually, I've written a script that can just do most of the report at a click of a button. Instantly.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, I'll send you a link so you can play with it.
1 hour later.
This is awesome. Actually, we don't need the report in a PowerPoint anymore. This is good enough.
This is so great! It saves us a week of effort every month. Well done! The best job security accrues to those who are constantly working themselves out of a job. Because every smart business always wants to find ways to reduce costs by doing things more efficiently. People who cling on to job security by making themselves indispensable are the first ones a well-managed business tries to get rid of. People who keep finding ways to make their job more efficient and maybe automate it away entirely are priceless, and the ones everyone wants to hire and retain. In fact, this habit will not only lead you to succeed in any workplace, it may well lead you to start your own someday, as it's one of the fundamental habits of successful entrepreneurs, as I learned in my own experience. As a founder, I spent a decade working myself out of job after job after job. So that's the fourth counterintuitive habit to massively boost your career trajectory in the long run. Keep working yourself out of a job. Now, the thing is, it's possible that you do all these things and your employer still doesn't recognize you for some reason. Maybe you have a bad manager who's afraid that you'll outshine them and is more concerned with stamping down on those perceived threats than on growing the business. Maybe the team you're in is so ossified into its habits and conflicts that people see everything you do as a personal threat. And even the best attempt to create a win-win is met by hostility. Maybe they even refuse to give you any feedback and just smile at you malevolently and pray for your downfall. Well, maybe that's a bit exaggerated. But still, the sad truth is that many workplaces suck for a whole variety of reasons that we won't get into in this video. And if you're working for one of those companies, the habits in this video will still help you. But the most impactful thing you can do in those circumstances is to just get the hell out of there. A better environment, one that's set up for you to flourish, one that wants to make the most of your capabilities, will make a huge difference to your career trajectory. Businesses are fantastic containers for people to win together. And in the best businesses, everyone is supported so they can thrive together. If you adopt the first 4 habits, you will also find it much easier to get work in these better companies. Now, learning to recognize such a workplace at the interview stage is a skill in itself. As of recording this, I haven't yet made that video, but I will soon. If you want to make sure you get to see it, please subscribe. Once I have released that video, it will appear here. And that's the 5th habit. Leave environments that try to grind you down and instead find employers that will help you to thrive. In the meantime, start implementing those habits today to boost your career. I hope you find joy and fulfillment at work, as everyone deserves to. Thank you.